Now, the rest of the story.
Alright, welcome back. Well, we are done cultivating. This is going to be the last cultivating video. I'm sure many of you are probably excited about that. But as far as, well, this crop year was pretty challenging so far up to this point. We didn't get everything cultivated. I got about 25 acres left to go that will not get done. If you guys saw my live stream from the other night, that storm pretty much put me out of commission for the rest of the season, which at this point isn't the end of the world. It is July, and the fact that I'm cultivating this late in the season doesn't exactly make me feel the greatest. But I did go through, I got all of my side dressing done. All my liquid was put down with the cultivator that I wanted done. Everything that I was doing in this field was purely just to break the soil up, get some air down to the roots, and really just knock out any weeds or anything that may be coming up. We did not hit this with the second pass spray of, well, with the sprayer. And they actually came in, they made 3 90-foot passes to see how the Coron and the Radiate would actually perform across the field. The weed pressure wasn't super strong, and I was actually knocking out quite a bit. I shouldn't say it like that. I wasn't knocking out quite a bit, but I was knocking out what little bit was actually still coming up. And for the amount of growth this corn has had on it in the last 2 days, it's probably at canopy as I speak to you guys right now. I'm thinking it's going to pretty well knock out or shadow out any potential grass or weeds that are going to be coming up, because the corn, with the heat and humidity we had the last 4 or 5 days now, the corn is about eye level with me, and it definitely beat the knee high by 4th of July, and by a pretty good margin, especially from what we were looking at throughout June. Now, what I'm going to be doing on the rest of this that's not getting side dressed with the cultivator, these fields, as you can see, or this field, as you can see, it's got some straight, nice, long back and forth passes. The plan is, for the 50 acres or so that are here, I'm going to have Andrew come through with the Y drops and the self-propelled machine, right about silk, I think is what we decided. And we're going to go through, side dress. It really depends on what the plants really need at that point, but Andrew did a bunch of Adapt-N tests on some ground here locally and in some of our ground too, and is calling for another 80 pounds of nitrogen to hit our yield goals. Yield goals! What are our yield goals? I have, well, across everything, 200 bushels to the acre is really what I look for. 200 bushels to the acre, and I'm farming next year. I made a little bit of money, maybe a little bit of spending money for all I know. I don't try to count it before I have it in the bank account, but I do have some ground that we'd call it high maintenance, high yielding. We are hitting that relatively hard. I planted it at 40,000 seeds to the acre. It came across, the average is right around 36. That is with the emergence and everything else. The spacing looks awesome. This year over last year, our corn spacing, a huge difference, because we had the chain issues last year. Our planter was popping across the unit, so it was shaking our emergence up, or our spacing up. Our spacing this year, I thought it didn't look too bad last year, but according to how it looked last year and this year, our stand is phenomenal. And as you can see right here with the cultivator, I'm doing basically summer tillage, and this is exactly what this ground needed. It was hard. It was like concrete. I'm going in probably a good 2 to 4 inches depending on where I was at in the field. There were some spots, I have the cultivator tilted back, so the back rows are definitely doing some digging. You can tell that by how much the plants are shaking, but I was really digging down that center row, and I was really bringing up some pretty good chunks of dirt, basically compaction. And I didn't get through and chisel plow this whole field going through this into this fall, assuming the weather works for us, which is kind of a touchy subject. As long as the weather works out, we're going to be going through and chiseling a lot of our ground. We were really kicking around the idea of reducing the amount of chisel plying we're going to do, but we didn't get a whole lot done this past year. We got down just enough. There's a little bit more that we really could have done, should have done. Would have really preferred having it done in the fall throughout the winter. Did a bunch of spring tilling. Hasn't really hurt us in the past, but because of the conditions we had to work in this spring, there are compaction areas. You can see it. We have some stressed areas across the field in the corn. You can tell are definitely from compaction. So the plan is to go through and VT, get the socks, work down into the ground, into the soil, and then go through and chisel everything up. Hopefully this fall yet. If we can get anhydrous on, we will do anhydrous. But I guess that's getting the cart ahead of the horse. I mean, I'm forward thinking, but let's just try to get this crop in the bin first. I really do enjoy cultivating. The reason we do it is, I've already mentioned before, breaking the soil up, letting air down into the roots. I do use it to incorporate my fertilizer that I put down with cultivator. We've done that for 3 years now. I know I got some new viewers that were probably curious or have been curious as to why we even do it. Yes, you could go through and chemically get rid of weeds and everything else like that, but every year that I do cultivating, it seems like I'm getting further and further away from that being a reason why I cultivate as far as knocking weeds out. If it was perfectly adjusted and all the teeth, all the shovels and everything were set just right, yeah, you'd probably knock out a fair share of weeds that are coming up. And don't get me wrong, I know that I do. But you do still leave some traces of unwanted plants growing between the rows. The big reason why I cultivate to stir the soil up, to incorporate fertilizer, and I still go through and plan on a 1 or 2 pass spray plan with spraying our crops. This field and all of our fields really got treated differently. Some fields got a 1 pass plan, some fields got 2. This field didn't get the 2nd pass, even though it was supposed to, because the weed pressure wasn't all that extreme, which means it didn't get the radiate and coron that everything else got with the 2nd pass of spray. But we will be doing the Y drops. I'm looking forward to doing that. I've never Y dropped any corn before in season. I mean, we're talking another 2 to 3 weeks yet. I'm hoping we can get some footage of that because, well, I think everybody's probably curious about the Y dropping when I refer to it, but the plants do look great. It's just that it's late. They're calling for an early frost, but nobody can predict the future. See, the plants, they're healthy. They did get that rocket seed additive on the seed in the planter when we went through and planted everything. The plants look great. This is 112-day relative maturity corn, planted May 23rd. Not as late as it could have been, and we really, all things considered, our planting date wasn't the end of the world. I mean, we started in the middle of May, and typically in most years in the past, we're usually finishing up about the middle of May, which also explains why we're cultivating so late. But if I haven't mentioned it, cultivator is going to be put away. It's going to be, I actually got to take it up to the farm, wash it off, clean it out, winterize it, run the winterizer liquid through it to preserve the pump and everything, clean the filters out, and it's going to be put away for the year. We got to free up the 40/20. We have a bunch of other jobs that we're actually waiting on the 40/20 to use it for, from hauling grain out to cutting some brush with the 3-point bat wing, because the 40/20 is narrowed up. I can get out through the fields. Also, we got to clean out that blue harvester. It's got a bunch of rotten corn in it that we're going to go through and get cleaned out. Got to fix the gearbox in it. And looking forward to this fall already. Once we get past 4th of July, really it's start working on some of the odd jobs around here. The combine needs to get pulled out. That'll probably be out here in the next week or 2. And that's got a laundry list of parts and everything that we need to go through and replace on it. So when you have this high yielding crops, that you need a combine that I guess can handle it. Am I right? So thanks for everybody that's hung around this long. The videos I'm hoping are gonna or will shake up here a little bit. No more cultivating. And as far as haying goes, I don't even really want to talk about haying. That's so frustrating with the weather right now. But until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in there. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys later.